If you live in Australia, then the government is able to change your password and add images to your device. Hey good people, you're going to want to see today's policy review because I would not have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own two eyes either. Let's cast our mind back to 2021, the height of the pandemic, and the then Prime Minister Scott Morrison rushed a bill through Parliament in under 24 hours, which is a little bit above the average timeframes. Along with the Minister for Home Affairs at the time, Karen Andrews, the Surveillance Legislation Amendment Identify and Disrupt Act of 2021 was passed, giving unprecedented powers to Australia's intelligence agencies, despite the Oversight Committee's stated concerns and concerns of Kieran Pender from the Human Rights Centre. What are these powers? Well, they're the power to add, copy and delete any data from your device. Sounds like the sort of power that you might expect from the Russian or Chinese government, but here it is. Now, these are the government's definitions within the bill. All bills need to define their terms. This is how they've decided to define disrupting data within this bill. So disrupting data held in a computer means adding, copying, deleting or altering data held on the computer. Now it's important to remember that that's their definition within this bill. Now the stated intention of this bill is to give governments the ability to fight terrorism and child predators. But we do not judge a policy by its intentions, only its outcomes. If you titled a policy the Reduce Poverty Act and it had the actual result of increasing poverty, we would be less interested in your intentions and more interested in the increase in poverty. It's also important to note that those original intentions are not written anywhere into the bill and that the people who wrote the bill are no longer in control. Anthony Albanese is now the Prime Minister of Australia. To demonstrate how this power might be misused, here's a funny scene from South Park.
I'm planting the cocaine now. Johnson, what about you?
Placing the blood spatter now, sir.
Frakes?
Placing pubic hairs from the raped girl now, sir.
All right, when this Jefferson guy shows up, arrest him fast and try not to beat him. There could be neighbors with video cameras.
Now that might be a funny scene from a cartoon, but it's based on historical examples. And this law appears to me to be the digital version of planting evidence. I don't know why you would need to incriminate paedophiles and terrorists. I reckon they would do it themselves. It should be noted that the Law Council of Australia raised concerns that the bill passed without key recommendations being adopted. However, I've got to give credit where credit is due. Within this bill is a fantastic piece of legislation called a sunset clause. Let me pull that up. A sunset clause is a built-in expiry date, and it's my personal opinion that everything outside of a constitution should have a sunset clause, but I'll explain why in a future video. If you want to see that video and understand the benefits of a sunset clause, then subscribe so that you don't miss it. Sadly, what normally happens is that as the time horizon approaches, governments amend the sunset clause or write a new bill that contains the same powers and just let the old one expire. A good example of that would be the USA Patriot Act. Future video on that policy is coming soon. And that's the policy review for the Surveillance Legislation Amendment Identify and Disrupt Act of 2021. It gives the Australian government the power to add, alter, copy and delete data from your device without your knowledge or consent. If you didn't know about this law, then hit the like button. It tells me that there's one more person out there who is better informed. If you know of any policies that need to be reviewed, then leave them in the comments and I'll be sure to mention you if your comment leads to a review. Bye!